Okay, cool.
What's up, Teen Talk family? It's your host, Miss KK, here with.
The legendary Ajane Jacole.
Thank you all for tuning into our show. We have a lot of interesting topics lined up. Joining us now live in the studio is Camp ANYTOWN Las Vegas squad. Camp ANYTOWN is one of a kind program with a 37-year-old history and longest running anti-racist youth program in the state of Nevada. Since 1983, they've engaged over 4,000 CCSD students from over 60 high schools in Southern Nevada. Their program intentionally recruits students from different religious identification, spiritual expression, humanistic beliefs, racial and gender identities. We are so excited to have you all. Please introduce yourself to the Teen Talk family, and we can go ahead and start with Mr. Rico. If you could just introduce yourself and anything that we may have left out about Camp ANYTOWN.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Rico. I'm the director for the ANYTOWN Las Vegas program. Interesting thing about ANYTOWN is that usually everyone within our program either graduates and goes on into and does something, spectacular, such as joining other programs, or they build their own campaign. So that's kind of one of the cool things that we've got going on with the ANYTOWN program. And also I attended the program in 2007 as a delegate. So it's pretty cool knowing that I go back and influence a program that influenced me.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Skylar, if you can go ahead and introduce yourselves to the Teen Talk family.
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Skylar. I was a Camp ANYTOWN delegate in the spring of 2017. I came back as a CIT twice. I am now a counselor, and I am also on the ANYTOWN Youth Council.
Wow, that's awesome. Good to see that everybody's still coming back and getting involved. That's great. And what about you, Sanaya?
Yeah, I am a counselor at Camp ANYTOWN, also a member of the AYC as well, which is the Working Board of Youth that run basically the programs, the discussions, the workshops we do at ANYTOWN, and the events that we're holding. And I was a delegate in 2018 as well, and I'm so excited to be able to still be a part of ANYTOWN.
That's awesome. And last but not least, Miss Eden.
Hey guys, I'm Eden. I was supposed to be a Camp ANYTOWN delegate this spring, but due to COVID-19, I wasn't able to attend. But I went ahead and got involved. Rico asked me to be a part of the YPP Council, which is like also similar. It's a part of ANYTOWN. But yeah, that's what I've been doing recently.
That's awesome. And if you could just explain what YPPP is and like the acronym.
Yeah, sorry. YPP is Youth Power Project, and it's basically members of youth as well. It's youth-led, and we basically talk about different social justice issues. It teaches us financial literacy education. We also talk about like policy innovation and just get really into some things happening in our community, and we get into that.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great group to have, especially during the times that we're living in now, where everything seems like it's just going off the rails. So, Skylar, I wanted to ask you, what has the experience been like working for and working in Camp ANYTOWN?
I would say the experience has been like nothing but pleasant. I think that Camp ANYTOWN has brought out definitely a different side of me that I didn't realize I had. It's kind of exposed a lot of traits that I didn't realize, things that I needed to unlearn about myself, teaching me about racism, about classism, sexism, all of those things. And it's kind of opened up my brain to realize there are different definitions of equality and equity. And it's helped me to see those definitions more clearly and see the injustices in the world more clearly, as well as seeing the way that people talk and hearing the way people talk, especially around my family, since I always kind of thought that, oh, I'm an ally of, this community. Like I do stuff, like I'm fine. And then I started getting involved with Camp ANYTOWN, and I'm like, wow, like I need to work on myself. Like I've got a long way to go. I've got stuff to do. And that kind of it was the biggest impact that Anytown has had on me.
That's awesome. So it basically exposed you to different people and different things that you before wouldn't have known, because like you said, you're around your family or you're around friends who, had the same almost values as yourself. So it's a little different, I can say, when you do, for me, at least when I went to college, being around so many different types of people, it's almost like exposure therapy, if that makes sense. Like going into something different and having to acclimate to that and realize and look at yourself, like the things that you might have to change that might be inappropriate to others, but weren't really for you at the first time, in the first place.
Exactly.
So I resonate with that a lot, and that's awesome. Rico, I want to ask you, so seeing that you're a little bit more seasoned than the others in Camp Anytown, what are some skills that you were able to take out from the program in the beginning and bring back to Camp Anytown and other aspects of your life?
So when we talk about skills, for me, I think one of the biggest things was understanding how to facilitate hard conversations on race. Because growing up, for me, growing up in a community that was filled with brown folks, I thought that I knew what race was, right? And then going to Anytown, I was in a cabin with Black folks, Muslim folks, folks of different genders and races, and I was like, man, like, I thought I knew my race stuff, but apparently I didn't, right? So I think for me, the biggest takeaway has been learning how to facilitate and have conversations with people about race, especially white folks. And that has been a tremendous advantage, I think, for me, and being able to share that amongst the youth leaders in our program so that they can begin having those conversations at 15, 16, 17 years old, because you're never too young to really start getting into the game, right?
Wow. Yeah. Having those tough conversations, that is a unique skill to have, because not a lot of people have it. And I can say, I think that's a needed skill. I think people are now realizing how important it is to have these difficult conversations. So then maybe in 5 years, it's not so difficult anymore. And it's just a conversation that just needs to be had. Sanaya, I want to ask you, so can you tell us a little bit about the creation of the Young, Black, and Empowered campaign that you guys have been doing?
Yeah, so Rico's always encouraging us, especially in the AYC, to go after what we're passionate about. And it's in the past couple of weeks, with everything that's happening with Black Lives Matter and the killing of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Eric Garner, Sandra Bland, and all those countries where we don't know about, I felt the need to talk about it in the space of Anytown, where I knew I would be supported and helped with, and that Anytown was there to give those knowledge, especially to Anytowners who know that these are conversations that need to be had. Young, Black, and Empowered is a platform for our Black Anytowners to share their experience and share their story. So it's basically a way for knowledge to be given, as well as us to explain ourselves. Because, some people still scream, all lives matter, and whatnot, but they don't understand why Black Lives Matter. And that's what I'm hoping that Young, Black, and Empowered does. It just educates,
I love that. It educates, because that's something I feel like people are missing in this piece, is that, it's easy to talk at somebody, lecture them about something, but it's different to try and teach them something, because that holds another level of almost compassion. What is that word? Patience. A lot of patience to try and explain something to someone that they might not understand. And I think the education piece also basically highlights that a lot of people are ignorant to a lot of things. And ignorant, I like to use that word because I personally feel like that word has a bad connotation. It's not necessarily a bad word. It's just a word saying that you don't understand something. And once we start to embrace that we are all a little ignorant to the things in the world, it'll be a lot easier to educate people and them accepting it as well. And Sania, you also have a comment?
Yeah, it's just going off of ignorance. I think that all leads to the hate and prejudice that we see today. And it's at Anytown where we come in ignorant, but it's in these moments where we're having these discussions and the workshops where we talk about racism, homophobia, xenophobia, that we seek to understand instead of being understood. And that's one of our core values.
I like that. That's good.
Yeah. But honestly, a lot of hate, I think, stems from ignorance because we don't know. All these assumptions, all these white frameworks, all these just stereotypes penetrate our minds when we don't know and we don't understand something. We have no experience with it. So ANYTOWN breaks that barrier for us.
I love that. And I want to actually ask Eden, so you are a junior in high school, correct?
Correct, yeah.
And I wanted to ask you, how has it been being around different people in high school? Because I remember from my high school, that's kind of where a lot of your assumptions and your, your ideas about your own race and other races really do start to kind of pull the forefront. So how has it been being a part of your own high school and also being a part of Camp ANYTOWN? Have you been able to take some of those skills and some of those lessons you've learned there and take it back to your environment in high school?
Well, my high school environment is definitely different. Like I struggle being there. Also, it's not very diverse, I would say. Like the Black community, very small. I'm usually like the only Black girl in my classes. But I've been in many situations and many like hard, tough conversations with people, and I struggle to like understand them. But then going into Camp ANYTOWN, hearing everyone's different perspectives on from their culture, from their religious identity, every identity definitely helped me to understand people and be more compassionate, because before I was very impatient, not very like being with people, but going to Camp ANYTOWN has definitely given me patience with people and knowledge as well, because I'd be quick to talk, but now I'm able to like just calm down, use the knowledge that I've learned and speak wisely,
That's awesome. And that, like I said before, that's a great skill to have. It'll get you a lot out of a lot of confrontations that can happen out of just frustration and short patience. Like you said, cutting people short is real easy, but having to have those tough conversations take a lot of strength and a lot of patience out of everyone. Mr. Rico, I wanted to ask you, how has it been working in Camp ANYTOWN during these type of heated conversations and heated times that we're in nowadays with social media, police brutality, and all the things that have been, boiling up to the surface?
Working in the ANYTOWN program right now during this moment, I think for me personally, the years that I've been in ANYTOWN from 2007 until now prepared me for this moment right here, prepared me to have these conversations with folks who normally wouldn't have conversations about race, or when we talk about, what does Black Lives Matter stand for? When we talk about white privilege, things like that, these are terms that a lot of folks, adults, we're talking about like adults and professionals who've never heard the term or who have been too uncomfortable to talk about the term. I think because of the way that ANYTOWN raises up its young leaders and the audacity that it has when it says, yes, any 16-year-old can lead a conversation and lead these adults into understanding why race matters. When you have that audacity on such a young generation, that generation is going to grow up. And I mean, I can only imagine what Sanaya, Eden, and Skylar are going to do when they're 20, 21, because they've already been fed that encouragement and that leadership. And that's, I think for me, is something that has been working right now is we've been prepped for these conversations for a while now, and now we're having them. And now folks are waking up to it, which is awesome.
Yeah, I bet that feels amazing. Ajane, you have a comment that you would like to talk about?
Yeah, with the conditions of today, with the coronavirus and the rising of Black Lives Matter, where do you see ANYTOWN in the future?
And that can be for anyone.
Yeah, it's for anyone. Like, where do you see it in the future?
We were Camp ANYTOWN, but now we're ANYTOWN Las Vegas, because COVID's made us realize that we're more than just a camp. We're like ANYTOWNers. We're like we're a community. We hold events outside, virtually. We run campaigns. We put up projects for ourselves. We're more than just a camp. And COVID's made us realize that we're better than just being a camp, because we can expand and we're so much more. Short to say.
That's awesome. And Skylar, would you like to expand on that point? Where do you see Camp ANYTOWN or just ANYTOWN Las Vegas going after this whole pandemic situation? Are you guys going to be more virtual? Is it going to be a lot more people participating in these hard conversations that you guys have?
Yeah, so kind of like Sanaya said, COVID-19 has really made us realize that we can't just rely on, you know, going up to Mount Charleston twice a year for 4 days in order to get the whole Camp Anytown across. Like, we have to constantly be in contact with our delegates. We have to be constantly having volunteer opportunities and events and things like that. And because of that, recently we have been um, discussing as an AYC, trying to figure out what kind of events we can do, whether it be virtual or in person, just depending on the safety of the environment. Um, Having more events to talk about hard things like race and talking about gender, all of those things, just because we don't want to, smush all of our knowledge and education into these 4 days and then just be
Right.
like, okay, go down the mountain, like you're done, you're not done. And so after you get down the mountain, as well as beforehand, we want to put in more events and more opportunities that so that we can kind of connect with the Anytime community a lot more. That way, we're not just like relying on a small portion of the year to make these leaders. Like, we can constantly be churning out
Right.
new people with new information and all of those things. So
Yeah, that makes sense. I understand that. And Mr. Rico, you want to add something?
Yeah, I think I love to answer the question, which
Yeah, of course.
for us, we recently went through a name change. Now we're known as Anytown Las Vegas instead of Camp.
Okay.
And one of the first things that we right out the gate is we launched this campaign build program where young people get to build their own campaigns from the get-go. And our first campaign was the Young Black Empowered campaign that's Naya's leading along with her peers that are on this call. And one of the first things that we started doing was how can we bring young people into a space where they can recognize that there's more than just there's more than just protesting. So we did a
Okay.
call with a local assemblyman and a criminal defense attorney, and we asked them questions about how to understand this system from within. And then we are having weekly Instagram lives where in the past we've hosted, last week we hosted a congressional staff member where she was able to explain like the ins and outs of like voting, how this whole process works. Before that, we had an attorney on who, has talked to us about our rights. So these are young people leading these conversations. And I tell my folks in the millennial generation, yeah, we need to get out the way because this Gen Z is they coming out with like so much energy that we really need to be a support system for them instead of doing things for them. And that's what I think what we've been doing these past couple of weeks.
Yeah, I love that. I can honestly say for Teen Talk as well, like having COVID-19 has almost made our reach longer and farther than we thought it was going to be, because before we weren't really thinking of these creative ways to interview people or creative ways to get people in other states, because now that they don't have to come straight to the station, it's easy to just have an Instagram live or a Zoom call with everyone in different locations, and you really get to connect people from different walks of life, from different areas of the United States. And I don't think we would have caught on to this as fast if we didn't have that extra push that COVID-19 has had for a lot of people. And it's amazing that you guys are having this constructive conversations with these congressmen and people who are actually in the system, because I think for a lot of people, they do feel like that to support, the Black Lives Matter movement or other movements that have been going on, that they either have to donate money or they have to protest. And like you said, there is a bunch of other ways that you can contribute without being a detriment to the protests as well. And Skylar, I see that you have something you would like to add.
yeah, I just wanted to say that I think a big part of why we decided to expand upon like going from just camp and why this generation is so powerful is just because of our use of social media, because we have learned to use this tool that we usually use for posting about random things, entertaining each other and talking to each other. Like, we've used it as an outlet to express our anger, our fear, our sadness, our empowerment, our determination, and we've gotten to educate other people on it. My younger sister, she's about to turn 13, and I asked her, where do you get your news from? And she said TikTok. And I was like, well, I mean, that's honestly a good place to get your news from. I learned a lot of stuff from there. And so we've just been able to like harness our energy and put it towards outlets that we actually see every day. And, you know, we're able to kind of band together as a community just by using what we already have. We use our phones, we use our laptops, and you don't have to go outside and protest and yell with a sign in order to make things happen. Like
Right.
we make things happen with technology, and I think that's a big reason why this generation has gotten so powerful so quickly. And the things that have happened, the justice that we've gotten has happened so quickly is because we know our tools and we know how to use our tools. So
Correct. I agree with that. And Sanaya, you also have something you would like to add?
Yeah, going off of what Sally said, it's all about, I think, the betterment of the entire campaign of BLM, of redirecting our energy, especially what we're doing in Young Black and Empowered towards our law officials and those in power. Because I think protests and everything are important, but if we're not behind the scenes writing down legislation, trying to get it enforced in power, then what's gonna occur is what happened to Rodney King. Nothing happened afterwards, and we're here still fighting for it. So I believe the protests are important to show our strength in our numbers, but like Sarah was saying, redirecting our energy, donating, signing petitions, and voting so that we can
Yeah.
put into power people who support us. I think that's one of the great benefits of COVID-19 because it forces us to think outside the box.
Exactly. And I think that's a great point to end this conversation on. I do believe it is true that everyone plays their part. You know, everyone has their part. You got the protesters, you got the people writing down the legislation, you have people on Instagram showing, you know, sending out correct information. Because I'm the type, I do not like to see misinformation. If I see something that's false, I'm the first person to be like, oh, we need to fix this. I need to let y'all know that's not what it is. I need to tell y'all what it is and what it's not. So everyone has their play in this movement that's happening in this world, because I personally feel like this is a time that we are going to see in about 20 years, you know, or even 50 years, our grandchildren thinking about this moment in time in history. And to know that you've had at least a part in it will feel amazing in about 50 years. So I just want to go ahead and let Mr. Rico, let everyone in the Teen Talk family know where they can find ANYTOWN Las Vegas, how they can get connected with you guys, and what we can do to help you guys in your campaign movement.
Absolutely. When it comes to social media, we are on Instagram and Facebook. Both handles are at ANYTOWN Las Vegas. Or you can also find us on our website at www.campanytownlasvegas.org. That'll soon be changing to www.anytownlasvegas.org. But either way, whichever website you go to, it's going to redirect you to our website. So please go ahead and reach out to us if you have not only an interest in our campaign, but being a part of the program. Let us know. We'd love to introduce you to the ANYTOWN family and have you join this awesome movement.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you guys all for being here. Thank you all for tuning into the Teen Talk podcast. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Teen Talk Vegas 881, and also check us out at teentalkvegas.com. And that is all, folks.